Dallas-Fort Worth housing market has been shifting for months now. In some areas, things seem steady, while in others, it feels more volatile. And for some homeowners, it feels like the activity has slowed down dramatically compared to what we were used to.
And when you start digging into the data, you can see a growing mismatch. On one side of the market is moving very differently than the other, and one county is leading that movement. So in this video, we're going to peel back the layers of the Dallas-Fort Worth market across all 4 main counties that make up our DFW market, looking at what the numbers are actually telling us. We're going to go over exactly what you need to know so you can understand what's really happening beneath the surface.
And if you'd like us to break down a specific city in the Metroplex, drop it in the comments below. If there's enough interest, we'll be glad to add it to our list of upcoming videos. So let's jump into this month's Dallas housing market update. Bret's going to show you the data.
So now we're going to talk about something that is normally really never even talked about, which that is going to be the number of showings it takes for a home to actually go under contract. Now, as we look at this, it's really important to know so that way you can have proper expectations when you put your house on the market. In Dallas, it's taking 10 showings until it goes under contract. Denton County is taking 9 showings until it goes under contract. And those are the same time or same amount of time it took this time last year. Now, Collin County is taking 10 showings. Now, that's actually down by 9% from this time last year. And Tarrant County is taking 11 showings until they go under contract. And that's up 22%. And the real interesting part of this is when we look at the 3-year trend on this graph is that in 2024, it took more showings until they went under pending. Until 2025, it really reduced. And then really it's holding steady from the 2025 numbers to 2026 numbers.
These are great numbers, but what does it mean?
What that means is it's really giving us a barometer. Okay, yes, there are buyers out there, and that helps set the expectation of the seller. Okay, yeah, it's taking about an average of about 9 or 10 showings until they can go under contract. Now, if they start getting more showings than past that point, then that means the buyers are rejecting their property either due to price or condition, which that really goes hand in hand for a property to go under contract. Now, since we just talked about how many showings it takes to go under contract or go to the pending status, now we're going to actually look at the pendings. Dallas County's got just over 1,200 homes that are under contract. That's down 25%. So that's a pretty big significant drop. Denton County, they've got 899 homes, and that's down 20%. In Collin County is at 1,080 homes, and that's down 18.7%. Now, Tarrant County has got 1,370 homes that are under contract. That's down 21%. So basically what we're seeing is that the homes that are going under contract have decreased about 18 to 25%. Now we look at the 3-year trending. In 2024, the numbers were just a little bit higher. And then in 2025, the numbers were about the same as 24. In 2026, it's starting off just a tad bit slower than it did in 2025. So what that's telling us is, yes, we are seeing the buyers being active because of all the showings that are out there. However, they're being a lot more pickier on what they're able to, they're pulling the trigger on what they're choosing to buy.
Yeah, we're seeing that, they're not just going after everything. They are being more selective on what they're getting into contract with. We're also seeing that if they're not coming to an agreement once they go under contract, in that option period when it's a time to make sure they get their inspections done and they're maybe looking at repairs, negotiating that out. And if they can't come to an agreement, those buyers are gone. Like, they're not sitting around going, well, okay, we'll go ahead and take it. And I think sometimes you see the sellers are more adamant on, nope, digging our heels in, we're not doing any repairs, we're not doing this, we're not doing that, we want our price. And so sometimes the two just can't come together. And so that could be another reason why those pendings are a little bit lower as well.
The next graph that we're going to be showing is the months of supply of inventory. Now, this is telling us whether we're in a buyer or seller market or even a balanced market. So when we say, okay, for example, Dallas County has 4.3 months of inventory, you're like, okay, what does that mean? That means it's going to take 4.3 months to sell everything that's available on the market for sale if not another property comes up for sale. How we judge buyer, seller, or balanced market, anywhere from 0 to 5 months is a seller's market, and then from 5 to 7 is a balanced, and 7 months plus is a buyer's market. So really we're seeing the supply available. We're still kind of in a seller's market, but it's more going to a more balanced market. Now on this 3-year graph here, we're seeing 2024, we definitely had less inventory on the ground. In 2025, we definitely saw the increase. And then 2026, we're seeing more increase right now. Now, that's really kind of interesting where, the pendings are down. So we're starting to see a more narrow, so more choices for the buyers to choose from. That's why the number of pendings have, reduced, because they've got more choices. They're just waiting to find something that's meeting their expectations.
So what's interesting about this is I was just reading an email this morning from a lender saying, hey, buyers have more, selections, they have more choices out there. Things are going your way, interest rates are coming down, you've got more inventory, blah, 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 and they're shifting in more of a buyer's market. I think we're in this interesting place of, it looks like on paper a seller's market going into a balanced market, and yet some places it does feel like more of a buyer's market. And I find it interesting that sometimes buyers feel like they have the upper hand right now. And yet you have some sellers that feel the same way of, nope, we're still in the seller's market. I'm going to sell my house for what I want, not what the market says. And so you've got these two extremes. I think the only people that are winning right now are the ones that are being more realistic on, actually it's kind of in the middle. And I think that's why it feels so weird right now for some people, is that it's not really either extreme. We are coming to that more balance. So in some places it is more of a seller's market based on location, price point, all those things. Some places it is more of a buyer's market. So
yeah, to your point, being kind of in that middle, like everybody's trying to figure out what it is. We actually had a buyer reach out to us this weekend, like, hey, we're interested in this particular property, because it was totally redone on the inside to the nines. It was spectacular. And they're like, hey, we want to see it. Well, by the time we got around to seeing it, it was already under contract. And it'd only been on the market, maybe 1 or 2 days. And so the buyers are having a hard time judging how much time do they actually have to react, because we don't want to overreact, but yet we don't want to underreact. So it's
right, and I think buyers are like, well, we're in a buyer's market, so we're going to take our time. Rightly so, after we just went through this crazy heated market, and buyers are like, yeah, I don't want to go through that again. I'm going to take my time. Unfortunately, a lot of the homes on the market right now are not, there is more inventory, but I will say what we've seen and what our buyers have seen is like a lot of the inventory is not what they want. A lot of the homes for sale right now are not updated or priced according to that. And so buyers right now do not want a project. They just don't. We're past the DIY.
We're past that movement, because the families are so much more busier. Things have got so much more complex, right? We just want basically, move in ready. We don't want to mess with anything. And so that's the other part of the interesting dichotomy of the market right now.
Yeah, so the homes that look amazing right now and are priced really well, they're going so fast that if buyers sit around and take time to think about it, they're gone.
Now, the next slide we're going to look at is price per square foot, because I know a lot of people like to talk about price per square foot. So as we talk about this, Dallas County, they're at $197 a square foot, and that's, at the median. So they're down 1.5%. Denton County is at 197 square foot as well, and they're down 2.5%. Collin County is at 193. They're down 5.4%. So they're definitely down the most out of all 4 counties. And then Tarrant County is at 197 a square foot. They're down 2.2%. Now with this, some of that I feel like is being kind of skewed a little bit with the builders, because the builders are coming in with new product, and that will skew the numbers versus the pre-existing market. So yes, it's down from 1.5% all the way up to 5.4%, depending on what county that you're in right now. Now let's look at what's going on with home prices. Now Dallas County, their median price is at $360,000. They're down 2.7%. Denton County is at $430,000. They're down 3.4%. Collin County is down the most out of all 4, which they're at $442,000, and they're down 7.1%. Now, Tarrant County, they're at $348,000. However, their price has come up by about 0.3%. So Tarrant County has really been a very solid market through the last 3 years as we're looking at the 3-year trending graphic. Now, a part of that is with Tarrant County is you've got a lot of new construction going on with a lot of new job growth along the 35W Alliance corridor with all the data centers that are coming in and other corporations are moving in. So that there's a really good, strong housing demand in that corridor. Or versus say Collin County, they had a huge demand during the COVID years because that's just where the hot button was for the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. Now that has cooled off, so that is being reflected in their numbers right now.
And the interesting part on this too is if you dive even further, which we will probably in a later video on going into the city level, it really gets even more different there. Like you were saying, hyper local. I believe Flower Mound home prices are actually up like 11% year over year. So it just goes to show you, when you're looking at all of DFW, you're looking at the counties, and then you start going into cities, so, suburbs, and then even to neighborhoods. It varies so much based on location, home type, the price bands, all of that you have to take into consideration on pricing and things that are going on. So it's really important to go super hyper local. Don't make decisions if you're thinking about making a move. Don't make decisions based on just generic information because it's really not very helpful.
And I know everybody wants to know what the interest rates are doing. Now, the good thing is that the interest rates have steadily been coming down, and right now they're the lowest they have been in the last really 3 years. They're really at about 5.9%, and they're holding really steady. So that is giving the buyers more confidence of, okay, we're feeling safe and secure to be able to go ahead and move forward. Because a few years ago when they were spiking so quickly, a lot of the buyers got scared off, and so they just were like, okay, we're staying put, we're not doing anything. So that really affected the market. But now where things are steady, that is a great thing. So right now what the analysts are telling us, we're not really expecting anything major drastically going up or down, that they're going to be really holding steady right around that 6%. Now the good thing is that depending on what loan package you're getting, you can get below that 6%. We actually just helped a family that found a new construction home. We got them a 3.99% interest rate. It's a fixed rate for the full 30 years. So that really helped this family out to be able to go ahead and make that move. So this is what's happening in the Dallas-Fort Worth market right now. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out.
And if you're going to watch any more videos today, I definitely think you should watch this one next. And thank you so much for watching. We hope to see you on the next one.